All right, and it's March, so we have a brand new sponsor this month, and so we're going to kick today's event off with a short video from our brand new sponsor, TST.
Truck System Technologies was founded in 2010, offering an affordable, reliable TPMS solution to an aftermarket and retrofit niche in the recreational vehicle market. In 2017, TST was acquired by Pressure Systems International. PSI is the global leader of automatic tire inflation systems for the commercial vehicle market for 18-wheelers as you know them. After the acquisition, PSI re-engineered TST's TPMS product to meet the grueling standards of the commercial vehicle market and also to meet the requirements to become an original equipment manufacturer, or OEM, factory-installed component in the RV market. In early 2018, Forest River began testing TST's TPMS system, and after over a year of scrutiny, TST received the approval stamp by Forest River and began talking to the various production lines within Forest River. TST is very proud to be the RV industry's first TPMS at the OEM level and is the only tire pressure monitoring system approved for use on OEM factory installation on every line at Forest River and Thor. TST, the RV industry's only standard OEM TPMS.
All right, thank you again to TST Trucking. We are so excited to have them as our March and April Coffee Lunch and Learn sponsorship. And these events wouldn't be possible without our generous sponsors. So thank you again to TST Trucking. So, and now what you guys are all here for, we are excited to have Dr. Kimberly Wilson, the burnout coach, an international psychologist and licensed marriage and family therapist for the past 21 years. She leads the leadership and resilience consultants in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she focuses on helping women to overcome imposter syndrome, eradicate burnout, and shift their mindset. So we're super excited to have her, and I'm going to toss it over to Kimberly to get us started.
Okay, thank you so very much for that introduction. Now, I wanted to say, as the country begins to, shift and the world begins to reorganize, it's the perfect time for us to craft a lifestyle that's free from burnout. Now, realize that I didn't say free from stress or stressors, but free from burnout. There's a difference, and we're going to get into that. So now, according to a study from the World Health Organization, the global economy loses $1 trillion a year to burnout. And in one generation, the time we spend at work has increased from by 8%, from 40 hours to 47 hours a week. That's a lot of time lost from our families, from our personal time. And Deloitte, a large company, estimates that 77% of their employees experience burnout, and that of those, 42% of millennials have quit their jobs due to burnout. And these are all staggering statistics, right? So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to forget the gentleman who has joined as well. So I am, as she says, I'm Dr. Kimberly Wilson, the burnout coach, and I help high-achieving women crush their burnout so that they can stop feeling overwhelmed and overworked and shift their mindsets. So today I'm going to share 3 keys to help high-achieving women to overcome burnout. And I hope we can do some guided imagery at the end. So I have a lot to share with you. And that'll really help you to reach a level of relaxation. Let's see. So today, like I said, I'll share the 3 keys, and I want to call this leveling up by shifting down. And I want to go beyond the self-help world that tells you to take long walks, take a bubble bath, drink the kale strawberry smoothie. How many people have been told, and meditate twice a day? How many of you have been told, put a 1 in the chat if you've been told that's the key to end burnout and stress? That's what you need to do. No one? Okay, I'm seeing lots of ones coming out. That is the solution. Has that fixed it for anybody? No. Okay, I'm seeing some no's. Okay. Yeah, and there's a reason for that. And so I want to help you to grasp and wrestle with the causes of burnout by doing less, or at least doing the correct things to cure it. So I want to start by thanking Sandy, who invited me to this group. That was our first conversation. It was a lovely, lovely conversation. I felt like she was a sister from another mister for me. Um, we just connected well. And this is really an important organization because it allows women to create a sense of community so that you can nurture and support, collaborate, and succeed within your respective careers. Because I know sometimes it can be really isolating to feel it's someone wrote, sometimes it helps, but it's hard to find the time. Oh, that's a good point, Emily. Emily just shared that, and that brings up another point. A lot of times we're asked to be human doings instead of human beings. It's like, what else do you need to put on your list? As we were even talking this morning, I shared that one of the things I do is I put my things I want to do on my calendar. So when someone asks me, "Hey, can you?" No, it's on the schedule for me to take a walk. So yeah, finding time to do the things and be the human doing is it's challenging. Okay. So now, because we only have about 45 minutes to an hour today, I promise that I'm going to give as much information as I can. And for those of you who want to take it further, I'll have and really integrate some of these things that I talk about into your lives. I'll have a special gift for you at the end, and I'll share for you exactly how you can take this further. So, what is burnout? So, if you're experiencing burnout, you probably feel fried emotionally, right? That's emotional exhaustion. Your energy is depleted. You're finding it difficult to even care anymore. You're trying to find two F's to give, but you don't have anymore. Uh, you acknowledge, you act, but you don't have the wherewithal to emotionally invest in situations like you did before. So that's one of the symptoms of burnout. You may be feeling frustrated with others. It's called depersonalization. So you might be experiencing that really negative or cynical thoughts about those that you work with, or with clients. You have this, you know how they are, that particular client, or those that you serve, personally or professional. You might be finding it difficult to connect, and your empathy or understanding is being diminished. If anybody has ever experienced that, can you put a Y in the chat if you've experienced being fried um, through emotional exhaustion or being frustrated with others and depersonalization? We got a couple of Y's coming up. Okay, outstanding. So you all know what I'm talking about. I'm not just making things up here right now. Okay. The third thing that you might notice is a decreased personal efficacy. So you feel like there's nothing you can do to effectuate any level of change. It's the same crap day in and day out. You seem to be powerless to change anything. That's when there's a lot of systemic challenges that you can't make any changes about. You just show up for your next heaping dose of feeling like you're insignificant. You come to the next meeting, but it always feels like it's not enough to deal with this situation. And a lot of that sometimes comes from the myths that we hold, and we like to hold on to our myths in our beliefs. The one myth that I have, this isn't related to burnout, but just a little myth. I can't seem to make it happen to where when I eat that large McDonald's French fry and the 3 chocolate chip cookies, they are not calorie free. It's just a myth that has just persisted over my lifetime. I think I'm gonna have to give it up one day, but I haven't thus far. Okay, so here's the first myth that we do. And I'm a little animated, so forgive me. I use my hands a lot and I get really excited. So you may have to just tell me to slow down. So some of the myths that perpetuate burnout is that things will get better with time. Just give it time. Anybody ever heard that? Just give it time. Let me see a Y in the chat if you've heard that. Things will get better with time. Okay, a couple of those. All right. We love high energy on Friday afternoon. I don't know where I'm getting it from. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, things will get better with time. We hear, and now this is dangerous. It's dangerous because what happens when we allow time to pass, the only thing that happens is time passes, right? Nothing changes. It remains the same. So it's true that time heals wounds. We've heard that over and over again, but we forget that that healing is not passive. Okay. So there are some really cool sciencey things that happen when wounds heal, and I'm gonna just go over them quickly because I don't. Sometimes I hear science and then I go, ugh, I just zone out. So 4 distinct phases: hemostasis, inflammation, proliferation, and tissue remodeling. So hemostasis is stopping the bleeding, stopping the blood flow. Inflammation causes swelling, which controls the bleeding and prevents infection. Proliferation allows the wound to contract where new tissue is built. And lastly, tissue remodeling, that's where the wound contracts and forms a scar. So healing is not passive. Wounds heal through active processes. Similarly, when we hurt or things go awry in our lives, like they always do, nothing goes perfect. Like I'm going to tell you right now, before I got on today, I had 4 phone calls. I spilled a bunch of coffee on my pants. So now I'm looking really nice on top. And on the bottom, we're wearing some sweats and shorts because things go awry. Okay. So when we hurt or things go awry, we got to actively make things better. And that's either by doing less or doing something different, doing the right things. Okay. Myth 2, stop caring. So when you don't care what happens, you believe that if you just stop caring about it, that and stop worrying, you'll feel better. And this happens to be the furthest thing from the truth. Uh, you're feeling burned out because your values, your beliefs, and your morals are not aligned with what you care about. These aspects that make you uniquely you, like we all come with different morals, values, and beliefs, right? They don't simply change because the systems in place don't allow you to effectuate change. So I know I've had positions that I've truly loved when I was working for others, where I really loved everything that I got to do and the way I got to help people. But because the system was sick and it asked me to do things that I'm not going to call out any organization, but it asked me to do things that went against my values. I had to leave that because it was making me sick. So you need to determine where your sphere of influence is and whether it aligns with those morals and values. Um, so myth number 3, get organized. Time management makes everything better. So if you've heard that, let me see a Z in the chat that you just need to get organized. Say, Jacqueline's heard that. Nobody else. Okay, a couple of Z's going on. Outstanding. Okay, so you believe if you just organize your time, you get rid of the clutter, maybe a personal organizer. I had a girlfriend who did that. She had so many bags going out of her house. I couldn't even believe it. And there was so many new things. But I'm going off track here. Buy a new organizer, use your calendar function on your phone, get an assistant or focus, you'll start feeling so much better. The problem is that better never comes because burnout isn't a function of mismanagement of time. That's just a small piece, that's a surface piece. It's a prolonged conglomeration of stressors. It's systemic failures, poor emotional regulation, exhaustion, leading to feeling exasperated and exacerbated state of mind. Too many E's going on there. So it's not about you not being enough or your inability to cope. I think sometimes we take that on, that we're feeling this way because we're just doing it wrong. Has anybody ever felt that? Let me see an M if you felt that you maybe just are not enough. All right. So for some of you, this is absolutely resonating. You've been told you're just doing it wrong. You're not doing it right. And how is this other person? Oh my goodness. Okay, short little digression. When I first had my children, I was taking my kids to pre-K, right? not even pre-K, just daycare. And I come in, I'd have that mom look, I'm just fried, I'm torn out. And there would be this lady, she just had her kids and she'd had on stilettos, full makeup. She was just looking sexy, she was thin. And us other moms was like, what in the heck is she doing? Why is she doing this? And then after about a couple of weeks, she joined us and she was looking like it. So that felt that felt really good to see. Okay, back to the point. So I chase little squirrels. You remember that movie Up? And now they talk about squirrel. Sometimes I get a little distracted. Okay, so we were talking about getting organized. So better number comes. So actually, none of these are the problem. The real problem is that you shift from one extreme to the other, right? You try to do it all or retreat and do nothing at all. That pendulum swinging back and forth. That I don't give a F to everything's super hyper important. Everything's on fire and only you can solve it. So we're going to cover 3 key shifts that will dramatically challenge your experience with burnout. And once you begin to master these 3 keys, you'll begin to feel energized, you'll develop stronger connections and with people and situations that actually mean the most to you. You'll put your energy where you value it. And so let me hear one thing from a few of you that you hope to get from this discussion on burnout and just kind of put it in the chat. Then I got to sneak some water too in while I was doing that. All or, okay, Morgan says it does seem to feel all or nothing. How to get out of it. Okay, outstanding. Confidence. Where is the fire extinguisher located? Yes, yes, absolutely. A fresh perspective. Okay. How to not get there in the first place. Okay. All right. So I think we're going to try and cover some of those. Hopefully we'll get some of that in there. Where's the fire extinguisher located? How to put some of this out and how not to get there. We're absolutely going to cover some of those. So let's take a really quick quiz. How are we doing on time, Monica?
We're good.
Really good.
We're good. Got 40 minutes still.
Okay, outstanding. Okay. So let's take a quick quiz. And so for those of you that are unencumbered, you can put it in the chat. You have a yes for, yes is a 1. Why am I making that column? Yes is a Y, no is an N. Okay, I was going to do a 1 and 2, and then that's just super too complicated. So, and for those of you who are a little more inhibited, just feel free to answer in your head. So question number 1, I know exactly which aspect of my life needs to change and how to do it to prevent burnout. Okay, we got some N's. Okay. Question number 2. I am confident. To give everybody a chance to answer. Okay. Question number 2. I am confident that my values and behaviors are designed to crush burnout. Y for yes, N for no. Okay. Still coming up with N's. Okay. Last question, number 3. Y for yes, N for no. I have a system of rejuvenating that goes beyond an event to de-stress. An event meaning like, I'm going to go for a spa day. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to paint my nails. Do you have a system to rejuvenate that goes beyond an event? Y for yes, N for no. Okay. Karen, would you be brave enough to share or give us 1 or 2 things that are in your system? You can either type it or talk, whatever is most comfortable for you. And I love your hair. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I unmuted and then it went back. Thank you though. I have to start every day at the gym. I'm at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. Otherwise the day gets away and then I face the burnout in every day. So I have to front load the me time. That's kind of that me time for me. Getting outside, just getting that break away.
Right.
It's tough because
Right.
there's so much. And right now I think everybody's feeling it. I have more hours of Zoom meetings than I ever had of meetings. So if you've got 6 hours of meetings on Zoom a day, when do you get the work done that those meetings keep generating? And that's where I think people are facing the burnout.
Absolutely. Very, very good point. And I really like that you said, so it's really important that, like I said in the beginning, there's a difference between stress and a stressor. So stress is the body's physiological reactions to the stressor, and it's important to have some type of physical way to get that out, and being able to take that time to and to exercise is wonderful. And so, but some people hate exercise, right? They're like, I don't give a crap how good you tell me it is for me. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I don't need it. And so they need to find different ways. And sometimes that comes through just connecting physically, doing something physically, whether it's you finding your favorite person and standing there and having a full body hug, right? To not the one where you're falling into each other or leaning on the other, but standing in your own being, your own person, and holding another person and connecting for 1 to 2 minutes to where it gets uncomfortable. And you begin to feel that connection, and then the stress begins to dissipate and it feels better. So I'm really happy that and nature, extremely important because it is so restorative, whether you connect with it visually or you connect with it. Sometimes I like to take off my shoes and walk in the grass. You got to watch for little landmines when you do that, but there's something very healing in feeling that grass under your toes. Thank you very much for sharing that, Karen. So let me share a quick story. So food you put in your body. Oh, so Jessica says food you put in your body is in nature is extremely important, and cleaning your mind is important. Yes, yes, yes. Do you want to share on some of that, Jessica?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll turn my video on so you can see my face. I think I love what you're saying because I definitely experienced burnout. So I wrote a book, How Camping Saved My Life, because I experienced burnout. But one of the biggest things was food. The food that I was putting in my body was just ultimately crap. And it continued that burnout feeling. Nature is the key for me. That's how I relax. Like you said, watching out for landmines in the backyard, but definitely putting your feet on the earth. And then I am one of those people that meditates twice a day, simply just because it clears my mind and allows me to attack the day. And I think Susan or somebody said, work out every morning. Yeah, I have to work out every day.
I know what burnout feels like.
Who's that?
I don't have it anymore.
I don't either.
I'm trying to figure out who's talking if I'm looking all crazy. Someone, it sounded like there was a male voice sharing something really profound. I don't want to miss anybody.
I'm not sure. I did it. It sounded like it was background. So B. Willis, if you were meaning to talk, go ahead and unmute yourself. I did mute you because it sounded more like it was background noise, but you can unmute if I was wrong.
Well, thank you, Jessica. And I want to emphasize your point about what you put in your body, and I think I discovered that in a couple of ways. One was cleaning my car and seeing how long. It's like, wait a minute, how long has that French fry been there? I haven't had French fries like in a really long time in the car, and it looks just so. It's not rotted, nothing's going on. It's there like the day it was bought. And another time I bought, those little apple snacks. You think you're getting something really healthy for your kids. They apple snacks, and they have carrots and sometimes little pretzels. And my daughter was just notorious, and she like threw one out because she didn't want it. And it was it just sat on the sidewalk in the grass. And we were just walking past this apple, like day in and day out. And we're looking at it and we begin to notice like the ants aren't eating it. It's not rotting. It's just looking exactly the same every day. That is not a healthy apple because the apples I know, they tend to rot. But this one looked just as white on day one as it did on day 45. We finally just threw the science experiment away. So you do need to watch what you put in your body. Jessica, did that bring up something for you want to share before I go forward?
No, I was just laughing because you're absolutely right. If you watch that food, it's not really food.
Yeah, it's it. I don't faux food. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it faux food. Okay, so let me share a quick story about my own burnout. So I found myself crying in the car again, right? So I was the county manager for a large behavioral health organization, and I managed the child and adolescent services for a 5-county area with all of that staff, and while also starting a domestic violence prevention in the community. So working with with the sheriffs and the hospital and social services, doing that. I had a large team of medical and clinical professionals, as well as paraprofessionals that I was working with. And I should also mention that I was 36. I had a 16-month-old and a 1-month-old, and a husband who frequently traveled out of town and no family or friends in my local area. Begin to sound like a little bit of a recipe for burnout, right? So I felt like a feather could make everything fall apart. I was exhausted, I was overworked, overstressed, and simply I was over it all, right? I don't think I could cry anymore, but somehow I did every day. It was no longer tenable to continue this process of exhaustion, overwhelm, and crisis response. You can't imagine the amount of crisis response, not only that came with the job, but for me, because everything was always falling. The sky was always falling. So the challenge was that I would engage in these event de-stressors. I would hire a babysitter, and it provided me with some relief, but it was never any sustainable change because I would put myself, it's almost like you wash the dishes and then you put it right back in the dirty water. It's no longer clean. It really doesn't help if you keep going back to the same exact situation. You've got to change the environment. So I mean, like those event distressors, bubble baths, vacation, doing a thing, and it fixes it for a short time. So when I began to look deeper, right, when by asking questions, researching solutions, and trying them out, I finally found a system that began to work with me and began sharing that with others. Now that I've made these shifts, my health has improved dramatically. So I lost 50 plus pounds, and I'm not a small girl now, but I did lose 50 plus pounds. I was pre-diabetic. I was pre-high cholesterol, and I didn't want to take any pills. So that's why I knew I had to make changes. Now all of my levels, they're within normal limits. My skin is better. My health has improved. My joints feel better, and I'm not as irritable as I once was. Because when I'm in burnout, I am not a nice person to be around. All this bubbly, it's gone, and I turn into a different kind of bee. But we won't use those type of words. So I began to feel more confident in my work. I feel excited and creative. Now I actually engage with my family in ways that allows me to figure out what's going on in their lives and not just what tasks do I need to perform or engage in for you. Where do I put you on my to-do list? I'm able to actually enjoy them. I'm beginning to feel more connected, accomplished, and energized by my work and within my family. So let's begin by sharing what is the difference between burnout and stress. How are we on time again, Monica? Wow.
We're about
Okay.
halfway.
Halfway,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it just amazes me how long I can talk. I can just get going. So if anybody wants to interrupt, please feel free to do so. Something speaks to you, you want to chime in, share your wisdom, because I love it when we all learn together. I don't just want to talk at you, just jump right in, especially if I don't see you. Okay. So burnout, it was first termed in 1974 by a man whose name I always have difficulty saying. It's Freudenberger, and the World Health Organization made it an actual medical diagnosis in 2019. So that's when it's officially recognized. And now people use the word burnout to apply to so many different situations, but the medical term applies to chronic workplace stress that's not been managed. And it's often characterized by 3 symptoms: mental distance from one's job, exhaustion or energy depletion, cynicism or negativism related to the job, and reduced professional efficacy, meaning like you don't feel like you can do anything to make changes in your profession. So while we commonly describe a feeling of burnout in many other contexts, the medical definition only applies to work. Whereas stress, it's comprised of challenges and struggles coping with pressures, right? And stress doesn't always have to be negative. You know, we say that, but we need stress, because without stress, why get up? Why bother to answer that email? Why bother to get that degree, or to I'm getting ready to take Krav Maga. I'm so excited about that. Anybody heard of Krav Maga or know of what it is? I am so ready for that. As a retired Marine, I am so ready for that. Yeah, so, and that's called eustress, when stress motivates you to do things that you want to do, whether it's take a class, go camping. And I haven't done that in so long. And then maybe it's because the military got me a little bit jading on the meaning of camping, because it was it was not a fun bonding experience where people come together and sing songs. It was quite different. But I love nature, love to do things like that. So eustress allows us to get things accomplished. Negative stress is pressure, built up pressure, and sometimes, let me say this. Did I say the difference between stress and a stressor? A stressor is the thing that is creating the stress. So sometimes it's, for me, I'm trying to think of one job. There was this coworker who was a peer who thought she was my boss. So she was always telling me what I needed to do. And there's nothing I could do to change my stressor, right? The stressor is going to be there day in and day out, no matter how many times I want to tell her to shut up or whatever. She's going to be there. But the stress, that's what's created in my body. You know, the tightening of my jaw, the increase in my heart rate, the headache that I get, the digestive issues, that is the stress. So I can begin to effectuate change by doing things to manage those physical responses, but the stressor is going to remain there. Okay, so burnout occurs when you essentially give up hope in resolving the issue. You're like, okay, there's just nothing I can do about this. And you just kind of walk through in this zombie-like existence. You begin to feel deeply disillusioned and hopeless, almost as if you feel like you've wasted your time. It becomes difficult to make any meaning out of life, and you have zero motivation and no desire to comply with even the smallest task, because what is the friggin' point? Has anybody experienced that? Now that we've done ever, would just give me can't see any people, give me a yes. Okay, wise. Okay, especially with Karen talking about all of these, or was it Karen or who mentioned all these Zoom meetings that create all these tasks and no time to actually engage in the task. Okay, got a few more whys. So let's give you some primary signs of burnout: disillusion and loss of meaning, mental and physical fatigue and exhaustion, moodiness, impatience, loss of motivation, inability to meet deadlines, lowered immunity to illness, emotional detachment. Do some of you, when you're feeling burnout, do you notice you get colds or have to go to the doctor more? feeling like your efforts are unappreciated, withdrawal from coworkers and social situations. No, you don't want to go hang out in the break room. Just leave me alone. Hopelessness and helplessness, or a depressed outlook, job absenteeism and inefficiency, doing that same. So one of the things I would frequently do when I was burnt out, if I would find myself doing the same thing over and over, or reading the same like email, it's like, what did I just read? And just going over and over it again. And then even sometimes like, okay, I know I just read this, but what are you trying to say? Because I'm not getting it. I'm so distracted. Sleep deprivation, which is often really big, or foggy thinking and trouble concentrating. Okay, so let's get to how we address some of these symptoms, because it's starting to get a little late. How do we make fundamental lasting change and not just bandage the situation? Okay, so first thing, I know, well, first aid, it says restore the airway, but we're going to go to the second step. We are going to stop the bleeding. What is the dysfunction that is occurring? You have to be able, you got to assess the situation. What is the dysfunction? What are the negative impacts and effects that you'd like to eliminate or eradicate? So I guess it's the same way as if you're looking at an RV and it doesn't start, you've got to get under the hood and see what the heck is going on. Is it the tires? Is it, did I put the key in the car? I've actually done that one time. Why won't it go? You gotta put the key in. So during one of my burnout phases, not paying attention to stuff. So what is going on? What needs to change? Are you engaging in self-sabotaging behavior that keeps you trapped? So a lot of times for women, that manifests as self-doubt. Are you doing things that are selling yourself short to create dysfunction? Has anybody ever experienced self-doubt? Put a Y in the chat if you've experienced that and it created some self-sabotage. Okay, a couple Y's there. Okay. And this doesn't just apply to women. Men experience that as well. So when you have self-doubt, you go into situations and you go into tasks not believing that you can do the thing that you need to do, which causes hesitation and reservation and a lot of angst and a lot of physiological reactions to that doubt. And you actually project your doubt onto others, and then they begin to doubt you as well. It's like, they don't seem very confident. You ever seen that? Like, wow, I don't know if I should allow them to do that. So then the very thing that you feared, you've created it because that has been your focus. Sometimes this happens, self-sabotage, it happens when we comply with old roles. And sometimes that feels like the safest option for women when we're trying to people please. We've been given this, handed down this, and I don't even want to say genetic imperative, but this sociological imperative that we need to be pretty, perfect, proper, and prim, and smile while you do it. And people pleasing, that allows us to stay stuck in these old roles from our past. So even when we get promoted into a new thing, and then somebody says, "Hey, Jessica, I know you did this before. Can you go ahead and just take care of this? Because you can do it so much faster. I got all this stuff going on, but yeah, I can do that. I can take care of it. I'll show you how." And then you keep showing them how, months and months and months on end, and then, yeah, I can just do it. It's so much easier because I know all the people. And so we engage in that. So self-sabotage through compliance with old roles can happen when women are concerned about displeasing people who have seen them in a certain role in the past. It's like we don't want to give up or shed that because we can be everything and we can be it all. Who remembers? Okay, I'm really going to date myself. Do you remember this song goes? It goes, I can bring home the bacon, Anjali, fry it up in a pan, and never ever let you forget you're a man. Okay, forget the singing, but that was kind of the mindset. We need to please and be just holistic. Sometimes we self-sabotage through worrying about our image or reputation. Um, uh, so it becomes a side effect of nice girl syndrome. So even though there's nothing wrong with being a nice person and considering others, that is a value and a virtue, and many people strive for that. Women take it to a whole new level, right? We become Olympic athletes at being the nice girl. Having compassion and being genuine, it doesn't have to mean self-sacrifice or putting yourself on a cross. It shouldn't have to be an effort to be nice. It should just be a natural extension. And hopefully it's reciprocal. So we can embrace our power and live within our values without putting everyone else first. How many of you tend to put yourself on the bottom of your to-do list? Let's see a Y for yes. Okay. Got a couple people still putting themselves on a lot of us putting ourselves on the bottom of our to-do list. There's always somebody who needs it more and doesn't. So we make ourselves miserable in the interest of being nice to others. And that's really, it's quite masochistic, right? We are flagellating ourselves and cruel. We often need to treat ourselves the way we'd like to treat others and have some self-compassion. And sometimes that may mean setting aside the nice girl syndrome to be more realistic and empowered. I just was working with a young woman, and we spent about, because of the pandemic, multiple generations have been squeezed into a home, and they actually had to downsize. And so we had to work for her to get permission. She felt guilty about wanting to spend time away from her family in her room. She didn't want to be mean. That was 3 one-hour sessions for her to feel safe enough to be alone and not be perceived as mean. So we don't need to live in this dichotomy of either we're the nice girl or the bee. We didn't ask to create those narrow definitions, and we don't have to adhere to them. We can be a range of our personalities. So we're going to do an exercise on the next one. So I hope that you all have some paper or do the mental exercise, however you feel like. So this is the second thing that we can do is a morals and values appraisement and assessment in alignment. So we're just going to find out essentially, what is it that you truly care about, right? What is it that matters most? And I'm gonna just throw out some big categories. So it might be career, family, higher power, my spouse, whatever it is, just list the top 3 to 5, 5 things that you care about. And after you list those, then put them in order. And if I can just get a B when you all have finished that. And it's important. There is a point to it. Those things that you say you truly value and are important to you. And after you've listed those, number of them from 1 to however many in importance, with 1 being the most important. Okay, I got 3 Bs. Maybe get about 4 more Bs, and then we'll move on to the next aspect of this. So a B signifies that you've now made your hierarchy of which is the most important, with 1 being the most important, and the higher the number, the least important those things are that you value. Okay, we get about 3 more, and then we'll move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you all know I can count. Okay. So the step we're looking for completion is that everyone has now made a hierarchy of their values. You've identified your values and made a hierarchy. So let's move. So the second step, now I want you to identify, make a big circle or any size circle. And we're going to do an energy assessment, an energy and time. I want you to look at using those same categories that you identify, make a pie chart with where you place your energy. The more you place your energy in a place, the larger that portion of the pie is. So you can, for example, take 24 hours in a day. So I wish I had a graphic to show you, but do you all know that you're just going to cut the pie? So if maybe I spend 1 hour in exercise, that might be a really tiny slice of my 24-hour pie. Okay. And so just in the interest of time, once you've done that, what that begins to demonstrate to you, now you look at where you placed your energy as opposed to what you say you value. Is that congruent? Is your behavior aligned with your stated morals and values? If not, that's a major place to really begin to look at where some shifts need to occur. You know, the CEO of Marriott just recently passed. He was the first one to be appointed that was not in the Marriott family, made them billions, realigned the industry for them. Died, I think it was pancreatic cancer. Within 2 weeks, he was replaced. Okay. So you know they weren't just mourning during that 2 weeks. There was a detailed executive search. So we really need to consider our morals and values aligned with the energy that we expend. And if not, either to be congruent, if not, you're going to have to shift your morals and values and say, well, you know, I really don't value this. This is what I value more. This is who I am now. Or you align your behavior to match your stated morals and values. Right? So that's called congruence. Okay. And so as I promised you, I want to share with you a free burnout assessment that you can get. And it's absolutely no charge, just to see where your level of burnout is. I'm gonna put it in the chat. You can use it or not. And then, so you can copy that, take it, and that'll give you your level of burnout. As well, I have set aside 3 slots next week for a free consultation, absolutely no charge, not selling you anything, just to allow you to figure out. I asked earlier if you knew what area of your life you needed to shift. So the first 3 people that text to, you ready for this number? Just text your email to 704, and I'll put that in there, 704-769-0660. And like the first 3 people, I'll send them a link to get on the calendar, and we'll spend 45 minutes just discussing where some changes might need to happen. So I want to ask, do you all have any questions or any things that you wanted to comment, and whether or not this was helpful or a waste of your time? I definitely want to know that. It's important to me that you get value from the time that we spend together. Thank you, Susan. Susan said it was wonderful. Any questions or situations anybody wants to throw out, or want to hear me sing some karaoke?
I was just going to say, yeah, that was a good exercise. I loved it. I think women tend to take on a lot at once. And yeah, makes you wonder why we're so stressed out.
Mm-hmm. It's sobering. It's very sobering when you look at it.
Yeah, Dawn said the same thing. The pie chart exercise was eye-opening for her.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's just absolutely crazy.
So maybe that's really the beginning of seeing, wow, where do I need to shift?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do differently to be congruent and to be aligned? On the playground, we used to say, don't talk about it, be about it. Very simple. So much wisdom in young kids, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And sometimes I think we just get wrapped up in it all. And then you don't realize that you're in the middle of this tornado, until you're just like, you can't go anymore. And then you forgot to take that time out every day, whatever it is, exercise or meditation or just a little me time. It's really easy to forget to take even 10 minutes out of your day.
Right.
And
right.
do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is hiding in a closet eating a chocolate bar,
Hey, I am all for that. I'd be back there with you. One of my clients said today, just before we got on, she's like, I'm going to go home and rest because nobody's home. I said, nobody's at your house. Can I come? That's not a thing anymore, right? Nobody's home.
No, especially after traveling. I mean, I had a husband that traveled all the time, and that was great. I don't have any kids at home. And he used to, not that he ever demanded anything of me, he didn't, but there was just me time all the time while he was gone. And then COVID hit. He's living with me 24/7 for the last year.
COVID has tested many relationships. We are having babies and divorces. That's what we're finding. Babies and divorces.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
identified a lot of cracks. I am so thankful for this time that I've been able to have with you all. And you have ways to connect me. You can definitely connect with me on Instagram. Let me share my screen and just show you some of my socials if you want to connect. Of course, I have it on the wrong thing. Okay.
Well, as you're pulling that up, I just
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to give one more shout out. Thank you to TST Trucking. Stephanie Oakes has been joined us today, and she was the one who made that happen, that sponsorship. So thank you again. These Coffee Lunch and Learns are possible because of our great sponsors and supporters, and of course because of amazing presenters like you, Kimberly. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. How did I say it again?
TST Trucking.
TST Trucking. Thank you very much for having me and for you all's patience. And I hope that our male attendee was able to get some value. I'd love to hear from you. I've never had a male in my audience. Did any of it speak to you or resonate for you? Mr. Benson? Oh, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I don't think he has
he took a bathroom break. Like, okay, so I do cheat like on some of my Zoom meetings and like just mute myself and go away and multitask. But nobody else does that, but I do it sometimes.
Well, I think everything that you spoke to could go both ways, men or women. So it was very, very helpful.
Outstanding. Well, I wish you all had to have a happy, enjoyable weekend. And thank you once more for having me today.
Thank you.
Alrighty. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.